Good morning. Well, today we are supposed to hear the actual opening statements in the trial of Colorado versus James Toliver Craig. Been a long time coming, 2 years. For those of you that aren't familiar, James Craig is the dentist from Aurora, Colorado, who, for all purposes, prior to being arrested for the murder of his wife Angela, or the poisoning of his wife Angela, seemed to have a pretty decent life. They had 6 children. They'd been together a very long time. He had a practice. Now, it's said that they had some money problems with the practice, but he was a gregarious person, outgoing. He didn't have a lot of enemies or any weird behaviors. But apparently, he met a woman a few weeks prior to what the state has said was the research in regards to poisoning his wife, Google searches in regards to, the top 5 poisons, what types of poisons show up in autopsy. And he proceeded forward and actually made those purchases, had them sent to his dentist office, allegedly. All of this is supposed to come out in the trial, which will not be live streamed. The only thing that's going to be available is opening statements, closing statements, and the verdict. Because in Colorado, the judges get to decide if the courtroom will be open or not. Um, we are going to keep trying to see when this feed comes up. Court does start at 8:30, which is 10:30 Eastern Time here in Colorado. It is just now a few minutes before 8:30. Jury was seated yesterday, and the 12 jurors plus I think it's one or two alternates, I could not confirm how many, were asked to return at 8:15 in the morning so that court could start. I'm sure they'll have a few things to take care of, and then they're going to start with opening statements. Remember, normally a judge needs to read the jury instructions first to the jury. They were sworn in at 5 o'clock last night, but are not clear as to whether they received the instructions. It would make sense that they receive them right before opening statements. So, trial will resume after that, but we won't know. Now, the courtroom is open to the public, but it's limited seating, so there may be some that will be reporting daily on what happens in court, and we'll be doing our best to follow that and give you all updates. But what I can bring to you live, I will. I'm not sure if the recording can stay up though. So those of you that join us live and we get to have our chat, I'm not sure it's going to stay live for people to check out later. It depends on actually the court ruling on whether or not it is allowed. I don't see very many people covering the opening statements, so I think it will not be able to stay up at all. Let me just refresh again. Hey, nice to see you, Charlotte. It's going to be a quiet day. People aren't used to me being live so early. And this actually, just came out of the blue because we did not know that we were going to be able to see this. I did check the docket, and it is in the right court room. And I think what I'm going to do is maybe I'll pull it up just on the side, and then just so that we can keep checking, and then after, I just keep every minute or so. I'll just keep refreshing because you have to go in and in again and again. Let's see. Oh, actually, it looks terrible like that. You know. Yeah. Well, it's for public interest, and this trial did get a lot of attention. James Craig actually it got worse for him after his indictment and arrest because he did a couple of things while he was behind bars. He did not get bail, and he did not make bail, and he was, remanded, and he was not a good boy. He's got several other charges to face. Okay, let me just read you a brief snippet. This Aurora dentist, James Craig, he's on trial. He's on trial here in Arapahoe County in Colorado charged with his 43-year-old wife Angela's fatal poisoning back in March of 2023. This couple had 6 children together, and Angela's cause of death was determined to be lethal doses of arsenic, potassium cyanide, and tetrahydrozoline, which is found in over the counter eye drops. She suffered through several bouts of sickness before her passing, and doctors struggled to determine what why she was so ill. Oh, he was originally arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He has since racked up 5 additional charges while in jail: 2 counts of solicitation to commit tampering with physical evidence, and 2 counts of solicitation to commit perjury in the first degree, and 1 count of solicitation to commit murder in the first degree. The solicitation for the murder charge stems from allegations that this former dentist attempted to use a fellow inmate to assassinate Detective Bobby Olson, who was investigating this case. In addition, he allegedly actively worked to convince inmates, family members of inmates, a former mistress, and even one of his own children to plant evidence to make it look like Angela wanted to take her own life. All of this is coming from court documents, He is not a very nice guy. And he seems to be under a lot of stress, making things worse for himself as he goes. Okay. That courtroom is still not active. Okay. It did get worse. The inmate this is supposed to be testifying, Karen Kane, who's the orthodontist he started the affair with, who actually visited him in his home while his wife was ill in the hospital. Make that make sense. I mean, this woman's integrity I had questioned from the start. She disappeared soon after he was arrested, and we didn't hear much from her. But I did recently hear in another news reporting that she will be testifying for the state. She is one of the main witnesses. Okay. Now, a lot of the evidence that they have on him is what people might call circumstantial. Google searches and behavior and packages being delivered, But there is the fact that he admitted to making her shake every single day. But he has been pressing the narrative forward that she was extremely depressed, and that she did this to herself for some reason. Some say that it may have been a financial interest since he was having financial trouble. However, there's no life insurance policy of any substance to be in play, nor did he have any financial gain from her death. So that couldn't have been the motive. The motive clearly seems to be the affair and wanting to change his life. Is it something like a midlife crisis gone bad? Who knows? But this was all so out of character. But his behavior since arrest has kind of led me to believe, at least, that here's something seriously wrong with Mr. Craig and the behaviors in jail on what he tried to put forward. Now, this is all also the case where the attorneys have left. We did have an attorney leave last November, and he left and stating equivocally to the judge that his client was asking him to do things that were actually what he thought were against his integrity and also borderline illegal. And, he was trying to present things that were not necessarily appropriate or true. And he was let go from the case. And at that time, Lisa Moses and her husband, Mr. Waitng, took on the case along with Ashley Whitman. And, 2 days before trial, Mr. Waitng was also relieved from the case because he was arrested sitting on his front steps, burning down his house. He was arrested for arson. It is an interesting case. However, the wife is still there as the defense attorney, and she does have assistance with Ashley Whitman, so the case was not delayed again like it was in November. It's been delayed several times based on new charges and things like that. We had to have pretrial hearings on evidence about the other charges. We had, defense attorneys wanting to separate the charges, which they are all kind of related. So that didn't really fly. I mean, if you're trying to get rid of the detective in the case that you're going for murder, and then you're trying to plant evidence in the case that you're going to murder, I think they do all relate to each other, don't you? Even if they are extremely prejudicial to your client, really, well, maybe he shouldn't have did that because there was no way the judge was tossing any of that out or putting it in another trial. They've gone back and forth about trying to get things removed. The Google searches, cell phone data, conversations he had, witness testimony. I mean, defenses are doing the job that they need to do, and that is to get most of this damaging evidence away. But so far, no luck. Let me just try to refresh this again because I don't want to miss much of this. Nope, still blank. They had said it might be 11:30. Unfortunately, y'all might be sitting here talking to me for the first hour. Hope you don't mind. But go ahead and ask questions about the case if you want, and I'll look up anything that you want. I did watch this morning something a little interesting, and that was Dr. G did a body language and psychological profile of Mr. Craig based on interviews and advertising interviews and personal things that he had put out. And that was 2 years old. But for those of you that, you might be interested in checking that out, let me drop you the link of what I watched. Granted, this was before Dr. G knew about all the other charges that were coming forward, all the other things that he did in prison, So there's that. Now, I'm sorry. If you hear my phone going off, I apologize. I do have something going on in real life here where I have to check often. And it's been quite busy in the mornings. I get a lot of phone calls and I have to do little things here and there. So I can't mute it for now. Oh, well, hopefully you'll be patient with me. Good morning, Jean. Good to see you. Hey, Couch over there in Twitch land. How you doing? It's good to see you too. Oh, just so that to keep you all updated with the channel, I will be still going live this evening with True Crime and Legal Update. And that's going to cover some recent episodes in Sarah Boone's appeal. Lori Vallow Daybell, again, trying to get a new trial, blaming everything on poor George Borinsky, And Paul Canero, there's been a little bit of movement there and some questions that I want to discuss with everybody. And also the case of Corey Burke out of Washington that we don't really hear a lot about. That was the woman who, on the eve of the re-election of President Trump, took an ice pick to her dad, busted out all her windows, and ended up in a mental health crisis. Yeah, quite a prominent figure. She was actually worked for Jeff Bezos. She's quite educated, and she was some kind of engineer, like a NASA quality engineer from what I saw. And she had quite the prominent life. She's married to one of the most prominent writers in lesbian advocacy out there, and they were quite the power couple. This was an interesting case on that end. It just doesn't seem to fit. There's been many delays in that case, but we'll talk about that tonight. Yes, Couch Boone faces back. Well, she didn't go far because of the appeal, but well, just to give you a little heads up, she wrote another letter to the judge. So, well, I thought it was appropriate to bring her back out here for a little bit. She just doesn't want to stay gone. Neither does Lori Daybell, for that matter. Like, yeesh, I just can't get rid of him. Yeah. Good morning, Karen. Good morning. Let me just refresh again to see if they have finished up whatever they got to finish with this. Nope. That one is still not live. They're saying it's in on the docket. It says it's on room 201. So that's the room I keep checking. Yeah. And nope, I don't see anything else yet. So we'll just keep checking over and over again, keep refreshing to bring it up as soon as possible. But so far, nothing. You all probably have been following the Kohlberger plea deal, and there'll be sentencing that we'll be covering that. We'll also be covering Lori Vallow Daybell's sentencing that is happening also next week. So it's going to be busy a little bit for live stuff. Uh, I like to cover the sentencings because that is when the victims get to be heard. Hey, Pete, thank you so much. I was just going to mention the one night in Idaho. Yes, we watched the first episode with a group in the Discord. If you're a member of the channel, either through Patreon or through Twitch or through Kick or here in YouTube, you get the membership into the library, which is the Discord for the channel. And we do viewings and stuff in there. And it was quite emotional, that very first episode. It's interviews with the family that came out from Amazon Prime. It's based on a book that James Patterson also is releasing. I think it was yesterday. It's quite emotional. They're talking to all of the friends and what it was like for the friends the day of the discovery. And that was the first episode. We've got 3 more to go over. But I heard it's the episodes 1 and 4 are quite emotional. Hearing from the families themselves, which is something I really wanted to focus on. Now that Kohlberger has said that he's definitely guilty, there's no more allegedly. There's no more this, that, or the other thing, or waiting on the evidence. Now it's all about the victims and the families in helping them get the closure that they need. I am disappointed that he does not have to say why or allocute extremely, but in a way, I guess that could also be painful. We may never know why. But the fact that he's actually admitting to it is good, and he'll never be free because he gets life 4 times with no option of parole at all, and more importantly, no option for appeal. It's a done deal. When it's done, it's done. When that sentencing comes through, the victims get to have their statements and all. Some of the families will not be there. I don't believe that Ethan Chapin's family will be attending. They are moving forward. They've been doing interviews that some of you may have caught on today and elsewhere. But now is the time that we focus on them moving forward in their healing. They need everybody's support. And I really have to say it's quite distasteful, some of the people out on the socials who attack the family based on their how they react to things. And all I would like to say about that is consider yourself lucky. You don't have to face what they face. And who are you to judge them for whatever reaction they had? No 2 people do grief the same way. And it really takes, you're talking about their lack of empathy, their this, their that. And I'd say, get a mirror, boo. Like, I can't believe the things that people are saying and attacking the victims' families like that based on their reactions. Like, take a step back. Who the hell do you think you are, people? Like, really? Like, you don't. You're just sitting behind a keyboard because it doesn't affect you. You should be lucky that it actually doesn't. You don't know how you would react. Regardless, you sit there in your armchair and judge everybody else on how things should be. You have no idea what you would feel like if it happened to you, if it was your family member. So take a step back, kind of zip it, have a little common sense, a little empathy, act like a damn decent human being for a change. Try that on. Yeah, might be different. Yeah, some of these people out there really piss me off. Sorry about that. Sorry about the soapbox, but like that stuff really, really pisses me off. I don't mention names, but those people that are doing it, they know who they are. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yep. Mm. As of now, the Chapins and the Gonzaleses are not showing up either. Yeah, I was imagining that that would be a gripping victim impact statements because how they, they're being very vocal, and I understand about how they were treated. It's horrible. I want them to have their say. If they need it in the media, let them have it. I don't think anybody should judge them for it. To attend, to not attend, their decision. Be in the media, not in the media, their decision. They have every right to voice how they were treated. And hopefully that will help other families be treated better. Mm. Well, anyway, I hadn't intended to go there, but I did. You know me, if I get something I get a notion in my head, like I just can't, like I can't keep that stuff to myself. And I'm sure some of you all feel the same. It's really hard to see that stuff. It really is. You know, Wait, yeah, Pete, yeah, like bear on her soapbox. Like I can't help it sometimes. Like I do love true crime, but I love very specific parts of it. But I have to say there are other parts of it that I have found since I've been out here to be rather distasteful, and it's hard sometimes for me to keep my mouth shut. I do believe that everybody should do things their own way, and all of these platforms are big, for everybody. But words matter, the actions matter, you know. And I try not to do any harm out here. I think that's important. I think that's important for everybody who has some kind of presence out here on the socials in any way, whether you have a channel or a platform, or you're just some rando on X, you know, you've got a presence, and words and actions matter. And I wish more people took that into consideration. You know, they all think it's the internet's forever. The things that you say, people will find it later. I don't have any in my immediate area, not yet. But it is expected that I will, Pete. It hasn't stopped raining yet. Most of the flooding is in the north right now, and I am expecting a little bit. I'm just hoping it doesn't hit by me. I'm in central, so I'm kind of like right in the middle. But man, it's flooding in multiple states, not just mine, but like all over the country. Like how many? I mean, Pennsylvania's getting hit hard. Do you have any there? Pete, you're north of me. Do you have any? I hear you, Charlotte. It is hard to even imagine going through any to watch or to hear what these families have had to go through. The friends, episode one on Kohlberger really shook me. It really shook me. In this case, with Mr. Craig, like I worry about those kids. They got 6 children, and then to find out that he actually tried to get one of them involved in actually planting evidence. Nothing in Canada, Rocket up north. That's good. No, no worries, Charlotte. If you're a little behind, get prepared for the rant. Yeah, I did get water a few times in my basement. But like my gutters just couldn't handle the flow. And get things away from the house. So I did get some back in, a little bit because we had days and days and days. But I don't know. I moved away from the shore because most of the flooding from hurricanes, you just can't get insurance anymore for any of that. It's just not possible. Yeah. Okay. I'm just wondering. I keep checking this feed, and it's like the anticipation. I don't want to miss it because, like, they don't let you go back, at all. Nope, still not. I figured worst case scenario, at least we all had a great chat. You know. It's like So, what has everybody else been up to? Is there anything interesting that you've been following in true crime? I saw a post on X yesterday of one of the larger legal YouTubers asking what everybody was following. So I put the names of all 23 cases in there that I was following. And like people were like, "Are you crazy? Like, man, what are you doing?" I'm like, I am a little bit crazy about it. Yes, I am. I have to admit it. It is a bit odd. I do appear to be a bit obsessed. Yeah, definitely. A bit obsessed with it if I've got so much that I'm covering all at once, you know? I think just in this particular case with James Craig, I think the judge's decision to keep most of the testimony in all private is basically because of how prejudicial it'll be. I think he might have made a good decision on that. Based on some of the trials that I've seen out here and what happens, it's probably a good idea. Keep the jury from seeing, too much and getting too much other weight in prison. It's bad enough it's been 2 years and there has been some media presence. Not as great as I've seen in some cases, which I won't mention because I really am so sick of mentioning. um we'll just let that one lie where it is. Like, nothing like that, but still, because it was like the crime itself just seemed to come out of nowhere, and it was, a a husband and wife, in jury selection. Most of the questions were revolving around religious predetermination. uh James Craig is a Mormon, and so was his wife, living in Colorado. They had 6 kids and been together for a really long time, and there was questions in regards to faith and religion. There was also questions in regards to marriage and intimacy. There was also questions in regards to infidelity. There was voir dire for quite a few of them, the jurors, that had to answer questions on how they felt about all of that because it could be prejudicial. I mean, the man did step out on his wife while she was dying in the hospital. He flew in his new orthodontist little Hardy. It's really distasteful to have her there in the house. I mean, it looks bad. Well, hey, we don't know what the relationship actually was between Angela Craig and James Craig at the time. We don't know. I mean, what they say, what goes on between a man and a woman in the bounds of their marriage is usually not exactly everything that they portray outside. And we've heard many stories where it's the complete opposite. But to say that she was suicidal was like very depressed about all of his notions of leaving her. Oh, some of the planted evidence was going to be that he was having multiple affairs. He tried to get inmates, family, to hire women to testify that they were having an affair with him and that the wife was depressed because of it. And that was why she may have poisoned herself. This was a desperate man trying to find a way out. But he got caught because he used the mail system in his inmates, and your mail gets read in jail, Mr. Craig. Not really small. Just like your Google searches are forever. Well, that makes me wonder about the kind of man that he is. And then he seemed gregarious and everything on the outside. That bit narcissistic? Is he a true psychopath? I mean, I recall reading in the affidavit for arrest one text message that really bothered me. And it was to actually one of Angela Craig's friend, a family friend. And she was visiting Angela at the hospital and she sent him an update. And his response back was, if this wasn't my wife, this would be a very interesting puzzle to try to figure out. Because the doctors were scratching their head on what was making her so sick. Why would she get better, go home, and get sick again and come back within a couple of days? Like, what was going on? Nobody was thinking poison at the time. They were testing her for everything else. Hmm. Well, that text message about, wouldn't this be an interesting puzzle? As his wife lays dying in the hospital, they don't know what's wrong with her. She's going in and out. She had been unconscious for several days. It shows a real lack of empathy there. A little bizarre thinking. I don't know. Maybe I'm making too much of it. But I'm wondering if we're going to find out more. I'm wondering if he had to go through any kind of testing. I never saw anything in the records, you know. But then again, we didn't get to see a lot of that, did we? Mm-mm. Colorado's a little weird about all of that. Yeah, Rocky Couch, I guess you wouldn't, like, but find, you mean about rain and flooding? So the news this morning near Rocket Couch is that they were setting bus benches on fire. Ouch. Mhm. They- well, here in America, it's all about the Epstein files. That's all I can find anywhere. You know, not something I want to call. When I was doing political review, I would have been all over this, because this just doesn't make any sense to me. How, during the campaign, could Epstein be the worst person ever, be in jail? His associate had a whole trial and is in prison. And there was tons of evidence. But now there's no evidence of anything shady going on, and no charges to be made, no evidence in the videos, and there's no list. It doesn't make any sense to me. No, none whatsoever. I'm not getting political because this is not a red or a blue thing. I really don't care. This is a just shake my head, what the hell are you doing thing. It's just a bad look for the administration right now. They don't, like, they say one thing and they bring out those binders and they go on the campaign like they're doing this great thing, all positive, and then decide to pull it back and then actually come out and say nobody should be talking about it. That was like the worst thing to say, because you know how it is. You know human nature. If I said to you guys, please don't talk about X, my chat's gonna fill up with X. Absolutely. People don't like to be told what to think and what to talk about. And as soon as you say something like that, people think you got something to hide. Just doesn't make any sense. Like, even if it isn't anything, they're kind of making it seem like a huge conspiracy. I'll tell you that, with their behavior. You know, it was all hype when it was good, and it's all hush, hush, hush now when it might not be so good. Let's just, why it's been such a thing for years. Why don't we just rip off the band-aid and put it all out there and let the chips fall where they may? Just because you're on the list doesn't mean you did anything. And if you got nothing to hide, what are you worried about? I mean, Epstein was the bad guy, and he's not here anymore. And everybody was on that plane, all kinds of celebrities. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. Like, the more you try to make it into something and hide it and shove it under the rug, the bigger the bump gets. You know, that's what I mean. Like, you make it more obvious there's something under the rug. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Just deal with it head on, people. You know, the Republicans actually had the thing and went there and actually said that they're not going to release it. That even makes them all look even worse. I don't know why they decided to do that, but it makes the whole thing look worse. I get it, Rocky Couch. People, to be fair, this particular community has been pretty good respecting people's privacy when it's warranted, but that's not universal. You got it. You got it. I understand. I understand that. There's all different levels. I am keeping refreshing to check the feed, and it's not there yet. I wish they had released the actual time, but there's stuff that they have to do first. I also should be checking X, I guess. That would be smart, right? Because they could actually have put something out that I'm not aware of, so I better just double check. Hmm. There's a lot going on in true crime, and then there's not a lot of cases got delayed for trial, but there's still hearings and everything going on. Uh, Kohlberger was going to be the big one for August, and that's not happening now. Uh, which I can't say. I mean, I actually think it's a better outcome. Um, I know some, you know, disagree, and that's okay. Like I expect people to disagree with me, not have the same opinion. If we all had the same opinion, it would be quite boring covering anything, you know. Don't you agree? Like if we're only talking to people that agree with us about everything, it gets to be, you know, just like why bother, you know? So I mean, I do it to have all the conversations anyway. Like that's my favorite part. Well, we also heard Dwayne Davis got moved back. Larry Millette got moved. And I've been following that one since like what 2022. Yeah, so it's not. I should be used to the fact that they keep moving trials around, you know. But it's always a bit of a disappointment when you get all ready and you're going through pre-trials and whoop, something happens and everything gets moved like 6, 7 months away. I mean, we've even got Lindsay Shriver. That's going to be, I think, October now. But that was in the Bahamas, and they just had an overflow of cases there. They had to keep moving it. She's here in the United States, but she's going to have to go back for that. You know, well, yeah, that's some interesting things going on. You know, we've got the civil case in Schofield. You know, Schofield versus Gilliard, our TikTok psychic. There still has to be, you know, the amount decided by the jury on that, and that's in Idaho. So we're going to see whether that will be uh, available. It's a civil case. I'm not sure. I know that cases of notoriety are available in Idaho. We've been able to see documents in coverage, especially in Kohlberger and Stahl. But it's like many states. It's according and jurisdictions. It's the judge's discretion and based on filings from the prosecution in the state back, you know, the prosecution and the defense back and forth. You know, this true, Pete, in regards to the death penalty. It's really not, you know, anything. You know, when I looked into it, like let's just take Idaho for instance. Like the last actually execution, it failed attempted execution that happened was years ago, and then they instituted the firing squad. But based on the automatic appeal system, which costs the state and the people of that state a lot of money, because it can also go through the public defender's office, which Kohlberger is would have been able to use. He may not have been executed for 10, 20, 30 years, you know, at least 10 years, you know, it could go bit, you know. So it's actually, you know, you want to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. I get that. I get that that's part of the process because no one wants to put an innocent person to death. And I have always thought two ways about the death penalty. I understand that it's a state's decision. The people of that state get to vote it in. And if they want that kind of justice, fine. What it doesn't save any money. Like they, you know, those that vote for it because they think it saves money, because then they're not paying to feed and clothe and house and give entertainment to a convicted murderer or some heinous crime, a violent offender. Um, it's distasteful, but they're gonna be there just as long. Right? I have to mute for a second. I'll be right back. Sorry, apparently, just west of me, or just southwest of me, just a little bit, a whole big power grid went out already based on the storms. So that was my warning call. So hopefully we don't go down while this is going on. But hey, the universe does what the universe wants. There's not much we can do about that. And the room is still dark. Okay, so there's nothing on that yet. Oh, so yeah, 40 years is a long time, to sit there and wait when somebody has the death penalty. And there are people that believe it's cruel and unusual punishment to have somebody knowing they're going to die for 40 years. But I'm like, what is cruel and unusual punishment in regards to someone who has done the worst thing in the world to another family, victim, take their life? But then we are supposed to be better than the monsters, aren't we? Like, but I understand both sides of the argument so well that I have to admit, I could go either way on any given day in any given situation. It's a tough decision for me. Um, exactly, Pete. They probably will outlive the victims' families, and it's unfortunate. Yeah, yeah. Fun times with the electrical in the power and everything. I get it, Couch. I'm looking forward to a great couple of days. Yeah. I'm just hoping the flooding is not going to be really, really bad. That's all. You know, Yeah, I really can't deal with anything like that with everything else that's going on in my house right now. That would just be like not a really good situation at all. Hopefully that my area won't get hit too bad. Well, mm, we, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to advocate for that, Pete, but I understand it's a thing. Like I get that. Uh, but here's the thing: like with people that commit such heinous crimes, especially those in life in prison. Oh, especially in Idaho, is it? They're not free a lot, are they? I know Lori Daybell said that she's like, she's under confinement 23 hours out of the day. And then yet she was in her interview talking about all these friends and these groups that she associates with. And I'm like, she has all of these murders on her and the murders of her children, like she's associated with. How is it that she is actually smiling like that and saying she's got these great relationships and she's helping all these women and do it? Like that really got under my skin. Like that really did. That she's feeling like she's serving a purpose and she had this big grin talking about these relationships and everything. And I'm like, how? When? On the one hand, she's saying she can't manage her case because she's like in her cell for 23 hours out of the day. She's only out for one. And then on the other hand, she's saying, like in Idaho, where she's serving life sentences, she's, having all of this activity and everything. I don't get it. I really don't. Like they kind of. Yeah, I mean, these were young people, like just in the beginning of their lives, just college, like getting ready to just start their adult lives. It's kind of hard, you know. Well, when I think about some of the cases of Lori Davis, like wanting to get back to Idaho so bad because it's so much better there, and she's like enjoying her day-to-day curriculum. And I'm like, how is that possible? You know, that's horrible that nobody in there cares. I thought they did if it was kids or young people, in some types of offenses. Mm. I mean, for Lori Daybell, those were young children, her children. You'd think that people would feel a certain way about that, you know, even criminals, you know, like criminals are human. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay, it's still not. They had originally said that the court started at 10:30 and the opening statements might be around 11:30. So if the power stays open, we could just hang in there until 11:30. But I could tell you what, if by 11:45 they haven't started, I don't know. I don't know what to do. You know, I'm looking for additional information. While we're streaming, just to see if anything else pops up. But I haven't really seen anything yet. Okay, let's just see if anybody has anything else to say about Mr. Craig on the socials right now. Well, it's still saying. Okay. Nope, they still say it's in 201. It's been like Law and Crime did a deep dive, a dive into it. Plenty of articles coming out, all over the place. Okay. I'm looking for someone who's doing updates from the actual courtroom. Oh, they're being briefed on they're being briefed on actually, according to Denver Fox 31. The trial has begun and they are being briefed. They're being briefed on courtroom, the what's going to happen in the courtroom, the rules of the court ahead of opening statements. And that was just 2 minutes ago. So I guess we're just going to have to keep refreshing and grab it when it actually goes live. So hopefully, if for any reason it doesn't come through, there is going to be KDVR is going to be doing a replay. Opening arguments for free on Fox 31 or Roku, Fire TV, Samsung, and Apple TV. So it'll start at 6 p.m. on Fox 31 in kdvr.com. Let me just copy that and put it in the chat for you because, I could use the power. What power would that do? I have no special secret like powers at all. Contrary to popular belief, there. I have nothing but standard, human acclaim. That's it. That's all I got. Okay. It's showing like all of the live streams, and none of them are ours. So, hello, you are Victoria. Welcome. We're just biding time until the feed comes up. Oh, power to my electrical appliances. Just hold off on power to your neighborhood. Oh yeah, I just like take it all from them. Yeah, I know. Well, right now my neighborhood is up, thankfully, but it is getting very black outside. I actually got a call because I'm right near the big mall in downtown, and they're all out, and that's less than a mile away from me. They're all out. Yeah, the whole grid is down over that way. Yeah. I'm just hoping that I don't lose power. I mean, it would be very unfortunate as if soon as it goes live, the power goes out. Like that would not be good at all. Oh gosh, I shouldn't even have said that because now I just put that out in the universe. That was not smart. That was not smart of me. Nope, not at all. Okay. Well, I'm thinking it'll be okay. No, me not having power is not a good thing. Not on a day like today. Nope. Not on a day like today. Hmm. I'm wondering if this is if KD Denver is on. Oh, it is Fox. Okay, they actually have a feed, but I don't know if they're going to be talking. That actual, I'm just looking to see. Okay, yeah, that's the same one. They're being briefed on the rules of the court, the hit of opening statements. Everybody's saying the same thing and nothing else, like because they can't really go into detail. Well, everybody's just waiting for everything to get started. All we can do is keep refreshing. I would imagine it's going to be like this for closing and the verdict too. But patient. And I enjoy hanging out with you guys. It's been a while like that we had a live chat going besides like Tuesday nights. I got a pretty full week actually. We've got tonight, which we're gonna go over 4 different cases. And then on Friday, I got one of my favorite things to do, which is Black Mirror. We're gonna do the final episode of this season, which happens to be the sequel to the SS Callister. If any of you are Black Mirror fans, I'm looking forward to doing that. And then Saturday, we start another series with Wrecker on the laws. We did the 50th law. And that's quite a challenge to me because these laws can be kind of brutal. And I come from a different angle on most of them, a new interpretation. So I'll be switching it up and having, probably getting a headache here and there. But it's kind of hard. People take these things so black and white, so definitive, so literal, In basically the concepts are wonderful, you know. And it's funny that we're talking about me losing power today with electricity when the streams I've been doing on Saturday are all about gaining your personal power back, especially in the times in 2025. Everything that we've been experiencing over, the flood of too much information and not knowing what to believe and what not to believe, not having a good source for anything, everything seeming to be like chaos around us and all over the world. Um, Getting our own personal power back and staying balanced within ourselves, staying focused on our core beliefs and our core integrity, our fortitude, and also our goals, in keeping to move forward, but also at the same time, knowing, reading the room, understanding what's going on around us without letting it affect us to the point that we're immobilized. That's a challenge, I think, in 2025. It's not letting all of this immobilize us, affect us to the point that we can't do anything. Because all in all, is that not the goal of people who try to manipulate you, to immobilize you and they're not doing anything about it, having it affect you in such a way that it changes your course of action, you know, and you know that we do have control over ourselves, what we do about stuff, what we don't do about stuff, how much we let things affect us or not, where we put our focus, whether it's good for us or bad for us. Yeah. So I'm enjoying those series. You know, it's a little bit of a departure, but you guys know me. Like if there's a conversation to be had, I'm in. Tag me in. I'm in. It's the one thing I do like to do is have the conversations. It's a good thing I like to talk because I'm sitting up here for an hour with no stream, like, and having to talk about these stuff. And still, it's not. He's not ready. He's not ready. No. Now they're giving me more detail here. Nope, but still no further update. With all these charges that he has on him, going to be, I'm curious about what they're going to address in the opening statements. Hold on one second, I'll mute. Sorry about that, guys. This phone is going to keep going, keep going. Now the now north of me is out. So apparently all around me the power is out, but not me yet. You guys can still hear me okay? Is there any interference coming in or static or anything like that? If anybody is still here, I know it's boring to wait and wait and wait. And I do apologize. I have to keep muting, but like it is what it is. Like not much I can do about that. KDVR says they're still just speaking to the jury in regards to, jury instructions and all of that. We just keep refreshing. I feel like a broken record already. Thank you, Jean. I appreciate it. You working today? I've been getting lots of messages from people that during live trial, they actually listen to me while they're at work. Like they listen to me in the background while they're doing all this stuff. I thought that was very flattering, you know. Oh, we've seen, the channel has changed a bit, and some of you that have been here from the beginning have noticed not me changing or how I do things, but just what do you mean that's you? Couch, what happened? Yeah. But as far as growth, there's so many more people watching after the fact. And we do see new people coming in to have conversations with us in the chat and bringing their perspectives, and I love it. You know. Oh, you listen at work. Yes, that is you. Yes, that are you are one of them, Couch, and you do even more than listen. You actually help me out a bit too. Yeah. So thank you for that. What we did just it's funny. I did the post the other day for 15,000 subscribers because I had said when I reached 10 that I wasn't going to do any celebrations or anything until like 15, and that I would do a gaming stream, something fun. And so I put the post out, and then I haven't even set up those streams. And that 15 is gone already because when I woke up early this morning and I looked, it was already at 16. And that's my phone, and I'll be right back. That okay. Sorry about that. Oh, thank you, Jean. That's a nice thing to say. I'm a pleasant distraction from boring, repetitive text. I'm glad that it's a pleasant distraction. That's what I look forward to. But as I was saying, I woke up like very early this morning and I noticed that the 15,000 is long gone and now it's over 16,000. But we're still going to do those streams. But like, I'm just not going to be paying attention to the number. Like, I never really do much anyway. I was just like looking for that 15 because I had made the agreement to do these streams. I'm still going to do a golf with friends stream. Anybody who wants to join me, you've got a Steam account and golf with friends, and you want to team up, and we're going to just have fun and play live. I can fit 10 people in StreamYards to all be talking at the same time while we, kick each other's butt in golf. And then Wrecker has a game in mind that he wants me to learn how to play, and I'm not a gamer. I don't have hand-eye coordination. I'm going to probably, whatever this game is, I'm going to die and I'm going to fail. And he's going to have a great time laughing at me. But based on all the support he's given me over the years, uh, the last couple of years with this channel, I think we're going to do schedule one there, Rocket Couch. He's trying to get me to load that up. Apparently, he wants me to become a drug dealer because we did the 50th law together. He thought it was funny. It is a game out there. I saw Osmond Gold play it. I saw quite a few people play it. It was pretty funny. I don't take it seriously at all. But apparently, yeah, we're going to do that for Twitch. That should be interesting for Twitch and Kick. I don't know how YouTube's going to feel about it, but like it's all over Twitch and Kick with no problem. And then we're going to do golf with friends, and that's definitely safe for YouTube. We'll be doing that. You think I'll have fun with that one? Yes. Apparently, I've got to like grow stuff and measure stuff, and I've got to have a marketing plan, and I got to use my people skills. It should be interesting, and I got to try not to get arrested. I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely not something that I would be familiar with, but Wrecker seems to be having a good joke about it, like he's laughing his butt off. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But since he doesn't have his GPU in his computer, we can't play that game right now. So we've got some time. But I am still going to do it, everybody. I'm not pushing it off. We are going to schedule it regardless of the numbers. But I do want to thank everybody for their support. In it is. I'm rather humbled and kind of overwhelmed by the numbers lately. But I can't say I'm not pleased. I don't want to say that it doesn't, make me happy, make me feel a little bit good about what I do. I mean, I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. Those of you that know me is like, I've never been interested on whether it was the popular thing or whether it made numbers or this, that, or the other thing. It was just what I wanted to do. This is a hobby. This is something that brings me joy. And as long as it brings me joy, I am pleased that it brings others a bit of entertainment, so to speak, and something to do, and that you're all there for the ride. I'm really pleased about that, especially those of you that stayed with me for years when we were just an itty bitty little bear, you know. Let's just say this bear has spread. Hopefully it's not my backside because that's hard to get under control. Apparently, this little bear got a little bit bigger. It's not so big though. I'm still, want to keep everything the same. You know, it it is true though with YouTube. Once they start noticing you and making you a little bit bigger, things just get like out of control. Like it just goes where it's gonna go. But that could all end any day now, and I'm just gonna enjoy it while it goes and do things, the way that I do them, in hope that you all will still enjoy it and just still stay with me as we go. You know, it's like the YouTube thing is so hard to figure out, but I've never been one, as you know, to pay attention to the YouTubey things. Like maybe I don't do what you're supposed to do to, follow trends and do this or do that or do the most popular thing. And, there's nothing wrong if you do that. It's just not my thing. I just never bothered to. I'll just, you know, do what I feel. Mm. And apparently some of you like it. And so that's a good thing. So let's see. I am going to try to get this to see if this is live yet. Still not. So crazy. Huh. Oh, my notifications are off too. Okay, let's see. So why isn't that giving me a notification? Okay, why would you get an email for something going live and yet not be able to find it on YouTube? Like that's bizarre, right? Like you should be able to see it there. Let me just check this again. Nope, still not. Okay. Okay, well, all right. Some of the other channels that are covering this went live, but I guess they're just waiting, just like we are. Oh, it should be soon. Hopefully. Hopefully. No. The internet was supposed to usher in the information age. Too bad it's also gave a platform to those who spread misinformation and lies, especially over the last decade. Yes, very much so. And also, it's become much more polarized. Have you guys noticed? Like, that gets to be uncomfortable for me. It's like you all got to believe the same thing, hanging, or not. Like, there's not the. I mean, me and several of my best friends have different opinions about lots of stuff, and we're still all friends. We still respect each other and have conversations. And when something happens, we can approach it from different angles and this and that. I've never really want to silence people's voices. I do have requirements in how my discourse goes, though. It's a matter of respect, no name calling, no yous, and theys. I do like facts and information and stick to the topic, and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I do see so much of it out there, and Ginny gets crazy depending on like what platform you're on. You can see things leaning this way or that way, and it's so hard. There are a couple of news services out there now, but most of them you have to pay for, which will actually balance out all of the news from different sites on the day and like the misinformation. But even mass media is so cultivated now to just tell the story and copy the story that they're being fed. Like, where's the truth anymore in anything? In letting the chips fall where they may, just the straight facts. Like, that's what I want. I want to be able to make up my own mind. But how can you do that when you can't get the information? It's becoming harder and harder to sort things out, and I don't like the way it makes me feel like I can't trust anything anymore. Anything I hear, anything I see with my own eyes, like, even, you feel like you get hoodwinked or they're trying to make you believe something. And I've never been much of a conspiracist or anything like that, but it kind of makes me feel like that. Like I'm always like getting a little bit paranoid, about stuff. It is a shame. Well, now there's like too much and it's like an overload, and I think it's the falling down of the lack of integrity and fortitude, you know, gone gone are the morals. So the morals, the reporter is so good, putting everything out there, just like a fact, just the straight news, chips falling where they may, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of what might be damaging or not damaging or who or effect. The facts were the facts. Well, nowadays, even as we've seen with some of the trials, it's more how you spin the story and what you want to tell, what you make people believe. Almost like truth is not necessarily the primary thing that everybody is concerned with. It's more like proving it based on their agenda. It's dissettling. I mean, I know that how can I complain about that in a court of law? Because isn't that the rules? You got both sides, and both sides are going to look at things differently. You know, try to take the same piece of information and bend it to what they want it to appear like. But it should still be a solid piece of information. Yeah. Oh, I'm just hoping this comes in. I don't know. So this dentist, well, he's got a lot coming at him. Not only his initial arrested charge of first-degree murder of his wife Angela by a fatal poisoning back in March of 2023, but then some shenanigans going on after the fact in trying to assassinate a detective investigating the case allegedly, and then the tampering of evidence, trying to get witnesses to forge testimony, make different things up, trying to make it look like she was suicidal and may have taken her own life and done the poisoning herself. Yeah, he's got a lot to answer for. And then all of these attorneys leaving. I don't know what's going on with the second attorney, Mr. Working. Well, they actually arrested him from his front steps while his house was burning down. He set his house on fire. And then there was a statement by another defense attorney, not related to the case, who was saying how being an offense attorney and dealing with certain cases can be very stressful and overwhelming, and that it's not unusual for mental health issues to happen. I mean, it does sound like something went wrong here. I don't know what James Craig is thinking of bringing forward, or what Mr. Working found out, or maybe it doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't know. I just know when he was asked to be let out of the case. He was, especially since he was arrested immediately. So the day after he was arrested, that happened. But the case is going forward. You know, the attorney prior to that asked to leave based on things that that were happening in the case that he just could not go forward. They were against his moral judgment and could actually have been criminal. And that made me think a lot too about, what the heck was Mr. Craig up to then again? What did he find out about? But attorney client privilege is not going to let that out in the public, but he can't tell the judge, especially if it was criminal. I mean, there's no, you cannot keep it to yourself if there's a criminal act, unless it has to relate to the past criminal act that he did, that he's being charged with. You can't discuss that, but he could bring forward any new action because he can't condone it or hide it. There are some stories some news outlets won't cover, either to keep their base uninformed in order to protect those named in the story. Thanks, Reagan. Yeah, all the legislation that has happened, about all of, the news and the media has been insane. It really has. Oh, come on. Mm. Mm. I do. In this case in particular, or Mr. Mr. Craig's attorneys has been trying to get out all the cell phone data and stuff like that, all of these incriminating text messages and Google searches. Although it was served with a warrant, you know. Um, so a lot of it stayed in. There was a lot of preliminary talk back and forth about getting things off, but most of it is still in there, and it's pretty. Although circumstantial, it does, I'm interested in the opening statements to hear the prosecution story of what happened, because it looks like most of the circumstantial evidence all creates quite a fascinating story and quite an incriminating one when you look at it. I mean, that's why I'm wondering about who this James Toliver Craig actually is. Because, like, how do you think that you could search, whether arsenic shows up in an autopsy, the 5 best poisons, how to make poison, okay, and then order all of the stuff and have it shipped to your work in your name, and then get it there, and everybody there sees you're getting the packages and everything, and you're acting weird, ordering things on the computer at work, which is like public domain. You can't hide anything there, you know. Oh, crazy. His own partner gave testimony about his weird behavior, about how he wasn't at the hospital. The friends were, the partners were. Angela was well loved. You know, where was James Craig? He was seeing his new girlfriend, Karen King. Yeah, and she's supposed to testify also. Things don't look good for him. Well, I guess the actual, we don't know until we know, right? We don't know until the evidence gets put out and they actually go forward with the witnesses and everything. And the jury can interpret it any way they want. This is how we've seen things go before. What we think is good, solid evidence, the jury will just like disregard it for whatever reason. Um, mm, mm. I have been surprised lately. Well, then again, I can understand too, because I'm always coming out with it with much more information than they are, much more exposure to misinformation and this one and that one and things that are in or out or whatever. I'm not in that room. I'm feeling the vibe. I'm not there in the courtroom, sitting on that jury, getting it presented to me in a certain way. And they are in a vacuum, so to speak, at the time. It's their perceptions that matter, what they take serious and don't, what they think is relevant or not. It's still nothing. Nope, that's not it. That's a different one. All right. There's a lot of courtrooms that are live, but not ours for right now. Let me just check the feed for Denver, the Fox feed again. Wait a minute. 21 minutes ago they said that the statements began. What happened to the feed? Wait a minute. Maybe there's a delay. Hold on. Why don't they have the Okay. That I'm confused now. They're saying that the opening statements began. How could that be? Is it the wrong courtroom? They said it was 21 on the docket. 201 rather. Let's just see. Oh, what is this? What are they? I'm sorry. I'm very confused all of a sudden because, like, they're saying that opening statements have started, right? And there's people posting what people are saying. And yet I can't, the feed is not coming up as live. So how does that happen? Mm, unless there's going to be a delay. I don't know. Not see how it's not like coming through. I don't even see anything different on the docket. Like a different courtroom or anything. Okay, that's not it. That one's not it. This is making me crazy. They said a particular. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't see anything. I'm checking all of these news sites in Denver and all around you. Nobody, no, nobody's got it. I don't understand. I guess they're just doing it from the courtroom. Ah. I mean, they're saying that they started 21 minutes ago, 28 minutes ago. She was a mother, opening statement. That they started by describing the victim, Angela Craig, who was one of 10 siblings and a mother of 6. And she went to the hospital critically ill and went to the hospital several times over 10 days. Uh, saying that the juries will see how she was getting sicker over more and more as time progressed. And that he intentionally poisoned her. Okay. He's talking about their money problems, that the dental practice was in trouble, saying that James had a lot of affairs and got caught in 2022 when the couple allegedly talked about divorce but decided to stay together. The prosecution said there would be a timeline and evidence, including text messages presented in the trial, of the deep relationship with another woman prior to Angela's death. Uh, what is going on? Come on. I This is not very. Uh, I don't see anybody else. I see one account talking about it that is supposedly in the courtroom. Okay, I don't see that. Okay, that definitely was an old one. That's nothing new. This one has lives updates too, and it's the same updates. The prosecution is stating in the opening statement that the affair could have been the motive for the poisoning, but there was no financial, like I said before, there was nothing with financial benefit or life insurance or anything with the wife. Well, all right, people. I don't know what to do now. It's almost 12, but I'm going to give it if there was a 30-minute delay, we're going to give it 10 more minutes. And then I am going to try to copy one of the updates that happened tonight, because this is just, there's no live feed. Like, I don't, as much as they said there would be, it's not here. Okay. Yep. And there's no. Okay, here we go. They still don't. Mm. Okay. It's still not. Oh. Hmm. I'm wondering if there's going to be a feed later that they gave, like the courtroom feed to particular station, which was not in the order, but it did say that, you know, I don't see it. I don't see anything about, I mean, I do see notice from this KDVR in Fox 31 that they are going to replay it at 6:30, which I can try to get, you know, get a copy for everybody. But this is not. It's so frustrating, and I do apologize. You know, you know me. I like things to go the way they're supposed to go. This is not. Mm. So they did the jury instructions, and they apparently, according to what's here, they're actually been doing opening statements for at least the last 40 minutes. 56 minutes ago, they did courtroom protocol. 6 minutes ago, they've got like them talking for the last, oh my gosh, quite a bit. So I'm hoping it's just a delay. But it doesn't seem to be. And I checked the docket right before, and this was the station. The I don't know. Best we can do is just give it a few more minutes. My apologies, everyone. This is not how I normally like to do things, which those of you that have been here know. Um, well, it doesn't feel it. I don't see anything actually live, even anywhere on YouTube either. Everybody who said they were going to cover it, they've got other things going on. Like they're well, then again, it's just me and one other person, and neither one of us have the actual thing up. So, for all we know, it's going to be a delay. So, I guess that's how it's going to be. I mean, just us talking to you guys about what they say. What I will do is, if I cannot get the actual live feed, we will pull together what the opening statements were, and we will get that to you guys and do like a different stream about it. Just how they presented it. Ay, 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 ay. How much time do you think that we should wait? Because I don't see anybody even on anywhere with it live. And the live updates are just saying, what the prosecution is talking about. Mm. Mm. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm quiet while I'm looking. But okay, guys, I just don't know. I really don't. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to see what the other one he's talking about. But hmm. Hmm. Okay, it's 5 after 12 now. I'm going to give it till 12:15. And then I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to call it because it's been a while, and perhaps it's just not going to come up in if we have the ability to catch it at a later time. That's what we're going to do, because they're already doing the opening statements that they said would be live. So, like, I don't get it. Hold on one second. One has anything to say about. Mm-mm. Nope. It was all about like jury selection. So that doesn't help. Mm. This is so frustrating. I was so excited that they were going to have this. Like, I thought this was like going to be a good thing. Well, there's only one other person who's scheduled to do it. And I think maybe we just got it wrong. Maybe they're recording it in the courtroom and it'll be out later. I'll just have to keep my eyes out for it. I'll think, I read the media thing and it said live streaming, but I don't see it. I don't see the live stream anywhere. Mm. Okay. Mm, the more I look, the less I find. Mm. So, also in the opening statements, they're talking about all of the attempts he made to falsify the evidence by mailing suicide information on how to do the script for witnesses to one of the inmates' ex-wives, urging her to help find other fake witnesses to go forward. Um, the prosecution ended their summary with Craig didn't just poison his wife. He tried to bury the truth by any means necessary. In other words, pulling in all his actions after the fact, um, to to help hit it home to the jury. Talking about how Craig conspired to kill a detective and several inmates. He called Detective Bobby Olson the dirtiest cop in town, and allegedly tried to solicit the murder from fellow inmates. But those inmates actually turned Craig in. He coached witnesses. Another inmate that he knew was with inside. Actually coaching them to find women who would pose as Angela's friends and testify she had suicidal thoughts because of his cheating. Like, this man really went really really far. But now he's going to have to go on trial for all of it. And it is now the state rested 1 minute ago. The state rested their opening. Um, the prosecution closed by telling the jurors the evidence will lead to only one set of believable, reasonable, and credible inferences that Dr. James Craig, the man in court, is guilty of the crimes he's charged with. Mm, that's a strong statement. Mm. Nope, I still don't see it. So since they're going ahead now with the defense. Okay, the media is given access in a location. Okay. Okay. It looks like they may have allowed expanded media coverage for certain news units, and that might be why we don't have the feed for the courtroom for the Zoom part. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to look for it later. Um, I will do a summary for you guys. So watch, the community posts on the back of my channel on the YouTube side for those of you on Twitch or X or Kick that follow me elsewhere. I'll try to do an update video with anything that we find. Especially, we'll be releasing a video if they actually do allow that expanded media coverage of the opening statements and that it does get released at a later date. There will be a replay at 6 o'clock tonight. That could be part of what's going on. That was announced by Fox 31. But that's through their streaming service. I don't know if the others will be doing the same, but we're gonna try to find it for you. I'm really sorry, guys. But I really don't have any choice but to call it at this point. It was nice hanging out with everybody for a little while, and but talking this long for this straight with nothing coming up can be quite a bit. And I still have a show tonight, so I'll do the best that I can. Like I said, they're going into the defense's opening statements now. I'll try to track as much information as I can to copy it all over. Okay. Um, on that, I will definitely see you all tonight, hopefully, for the other cases that we're going to cover. And I'll check back with you with an update on all of these. But this is an interesting case. Either way, we're going to be doing updates on it regularly in a summation. The first summation will be probably Sunday or Monday for the whole week of testimony and the opening statements and everything that we can get our hands on. So on that, I'm gonna call it, guys. Thanks for hanging with me as long as you did. I'm sorry to disappoint you with the opening statements, but we'll try to do better and get you something later on today. All right. Good night or good afternoon,